Hi, I'm Dr. Jennifer Verduin, and I'm here to talk to you about Western Australian waters and microplastics within it. So the WA coastline is, of course, a fantastic area. It goes from tropical to subtropical to temperate, so along the northwestern to the southwestern. We have a very interesting current that's unusual because it flows from north to south. It brings warmer water, so it brings lots of different types of tropical animals, even down to the temperate areas where we are here in Perth. So it brings this high diversity of animals and plants that we wouldn't find anywhere else. Well, plastics are a big problem, of course, because they take so long to actually break down. And a lot of the plastics that we create is actually from the land. 80% of plastics occur from the land and then via our rivers come back into the ocean. Now, sunshine and all sorts of, other things will actually break down the plastics into microplastics. So the bigger plastics you can entangle larger animals or birds and things like that. But the microplastics, you can't see it, and very often it gets ingested by the animals that live in the marine environment or even within the sand. And the microplastics, as they can be ingested, it's very damaging to both the environment but also to the animals that ingest the plastic. So the movement of these plastics, depending on the size, of course, is depending on the currents that are around the areas where this plastic is found. And they can collate if it's larger plastic, so they have these gyres where plastics can actually collate and you will see larger amounts of it. The microplastics we can't see, but they will collate as well within currents like gyres, for example. There are some projects that actually collect the plastic from the ocean already. So they have these little, it's like a flow, like a sink plug, if you like, and it's sort of, the water flows through it and it captures the plastic. So that's one of the things that one can do. Other than physical damage that it can do to the animals, and it's also the pollutants attached to when it breaks down. So the pollutants can be stored in the fat of dolphins, for example, and it can cause lesions and things like that inside of the body, which is really very damaging and sad, of course. So we need to be careful of that. Health damage for humans, we already have ingested plastic, so we have microplastics in our bodies already. And eventually, when that sort of collates, so you have these trophic levels. If you go from a small animal, there's a little bit, it's not too bad. And then when that small animal gets eaten by something else bigger, it sort of accumulates as you go up, as you go bigger. So then it becomes damaging. Yeah, so the best way to deal with plastic in the ocean, they're out there already, is of course collect it. But the best way to resolve the problem is to not produce it at all. So there are a lot of alternatives that researchers and scientists are working on with plastic-like equipment or material like from algae or fish scales, or totally alternative things like beeswax that you can actually cover your things with instead of the plastic or the glad wrap. That sort of thing. The communities here in WA are fantastic. So there's lots of community groups. So you could find out from your council what kind of groups are doing this. There's lots of collection days, or beach combing days where you can actually collect all the plastics. You get provided containers and you can put in the plastics and all the, not just plastics, but maybe cans, all sorts of other things that you can collect and help. Clean Up Australia Day, of course, is a big thing. It's where people also go out in the water and collect all sorts of things that have been found in the water by divers. So if you're a keen diver, that's another thing that you can do. So not just on the land, but also what's happening in the water. So communities can do a lot. And of course, be mindful of how you dispose of your plastic or your wrappers. You might have, some pockets and put your wrappers in there and then put it in the correct bin when you go home. There's a lot of things we can still do, and you as young people, you can really make this happen. So maybe think about how you would dispose of plastic, or how would you think of different materials that you could use instead of plastic.